Each week on Culinary Confidential, Christina Cates, a seasoned foodie who has worked at some of New York City's top restaurants, will share her passion for the culinary world. Whether you're a professional chef, a restaurant enthusiast, or a lover of good food, Christina dives into the heart of hospitality, exploring the trends, triumphs, and challenges facing the food service profession. And you won't want to miss her chats with some of the most interesting and influential industry voices. And now, please take your seat at the table as Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates starts now, exclusively on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates. This show is produced in association with my dear friend, Lucas A. Ferrara. The topic for tonight's show is food allergies. Now, this is probably the most relevant topic to discuss right now. Food allergies are prevalent and can develop in people even later in life, even if they've previously tolerated specific foods. One of the first things a server asks when you go to a restaurant these days is, are there any allergies the kitchen should be made aware of? 33 million Americans have food allergies. And guess what? They're on the rise, especially amongst children. 1 in 13 children have some sort of food allergy. So that's about 2 per classroom. The top 9 common food allergens in the U.S. that are responsible for about 90% of the reactions are milk, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, which are almonds, cashews, and walnuts. Then there's soy, wheat, fish, shellfish, and sesame. Food allergy reactions can range from mild to severe and may include swelling of the lips, face, tongue, and throat, hives, rashes, and itching, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, coughing, wheezing, shortness of breath, or there's the more extreme reactions like anaphylaxis, which can cause a sudden drop in blood pressure, loss of consciousness, and death if not treated immediately. Okay, so this brings me to my first guest tonight, Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino. Elizabeth lives every day of her life with multiple life-threatening food allergies. In 1998, Elizabeth nearly lost her life from an allergic reaction to almonds. The very next year, in 1999, she suffered a near-fatal allergic reaction while 6 months pregnant with her third son. She and her unborn child were hospitalized for more than a week following the reaction. I've had a conversation with Elizabeth before tonight, and she walked me through what her life looks like when she's out dining and the journey she's been on since developing these allergies. And believe me, it doesn't sound fun. Elizabeth is just a really cool woman and does a lot of inspiring things. For more than a decade, she has served as a spokesperson for the Food Allergy and Anaphylaxis Connection Team, which is known as FACT, and Medic Alert Foundation. She works tirelessly to support others with similar conditions. She and co-author Sally Huss teamed up to create the best-selling children's book, A Lesson for Every Child, Learning About Food Allergies, and Dream Big with Food Allergies. In addition to being a best-selling author, Elizabeth is a member of the Forbes Business Council and creator of You Magazine. Elizabeth hosts her long-standing syndicated podcast, The Best Ever You Show, which has millions of downloads and listens. Now, also joining in on the show tonight is Valerio Arena, who is the founder of 21 Grains, an exclusively gluten-free fast casual restaurant in New York City with several locations. Valerio is a seasoned hospitality entrepreneur with over 2 decades of experience in the food and beverage industry and is spanning from London to the Caribbean, Spain, and again in New York City. But he was raised between Sicily and Piedmont, which are 2 iconic regions of Italy with deeply rooted culinary traditions. Valerio grew up in a culture where food was sacred, and every meal carried ritual, flavor, and meaning. After a successful career with top hospitality groups and Michelin-starred restaurants, his path shifted unexpectedly during a trip to Russia, where he was diagnosed with celiac disease. What began as a personal health challenge quickly turned into a professional mission. He wanted to create something better for people like him and for anyone seeking to eat well without compromise. That vision became 21 Grains, which is a modern fast casual concept built around naturally gluten-free ingredients like quinoa and millet. Drawing inspiration from the rise of health-driven dining and leveraging his background in launching food halls, including one in Miami, Valerio partnered with Andrew Hutzel and Sergio Spera to bring the brand to life. They began in Midtown and downtown Manhattan, where the demand for fresh, fast, and gluten-free meals was quickly growing. Okay, we're going to talk more with Valerio shortly. Now, let me please welcome Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino to the show. Elizabeth, welcome to Culinary Confidential. Thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
All right, so let's talk about your food allergies. Can you tell us what your allergies are?
I can. I've had them for almost 30 years now, and I developed them after a pregnancy. I'm allergic to peanuts, tree nuts, fish, and shellfish.
And how did you get diagnosed? How did you find out you had all these allergies? Because I know you got them later in life.
Yeah, I actually got diagnosed after having a full-on allergic reaction. I ate a bag of almonds at Starbucks.
Oh.
And within seconds started having serious issues. And thank goodness the hospital was right across the street from the Starbucks, and I was rushed to the hospital, and my life was saved. But when I entered the hospital, my blood pressure was 65/38.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was resuscitated, and thank goodness, because we wouldn't be having this conversation without that hospital crew there in Burnsville, Minnesota.
Wow. And you had eaten almonds before in life and no reaction?
Absolutely. A favorite food of mine, in fact.
So do you think the pregnancy had something to do with that? Like it just changed the makeup in your body somehow?
Probably, in some way, shape, or form, because those are foods that I ate and craved while I was pregnant. And thank goodness, none of the 4 boys have allergies.
Oh,
that's
good.
I think that it must have saved him from food allergies. I'm not real sure on the science there, but it seems pretty logical to me that he was spared and I got it, which is something that I would always prefer.
Of course. Now, if you're someone who's testing for food allergies, like what is that process like? If you're testing before you even know you're going to have a reaction to something, is it a blood test?
There's a couple different kinds of tests to have for food allergies. There's skin tests and there's blood tests. Those are probably the 2 most common ways, both of which have sent me into anaphylaxis. So they give you a tiny portion, like a tiny portion of the allergen into the blood test didn't send me into anaphylaxis, but the skin test sent me into anaphylaxis just by testing on your back. They'll do like a little skin test where they give you a little bit of the allergen, and that sent me into anaphylaxis. The blood test is just a blood draw.
This is scary stuff. I mean, I know you've come close a couple times to kind of, not being on this show tonight, right? Because if you've had such severe reactions, how do they deal with this? I mean, is everyone always on the lookout when you're out to dinner or you're buying something in a store to make sure, that you've read the label, they've read the label, that it's safe for you to consume?
Definitely. The one point I want to make is that anaphylaxis or life-threatening food allergies, they're a medical condition. They're not somebody being picky about food or preference or anything like that. They're not a trend, a phase, or anything like that. It's a serious immune condition. So with that said, yes, my family is always on hyper alert. Our boys, my husband, are particularly careful. Our house is nut-free, shellfish-free, fish-free, tree nut-free, and so forth. And, you have to be really careful at holidays. It's not as easy as going out to the grocery store and buying a birthday cake or, for example, this past Christmas Eve, we did Christmas in New Jersey, and we had the Feast of 7 Fishes, and I think that's what it was called.
Yes, that's what it's called. Yeah. That's very New Jersey, by the way.
Yeah. And it was dangerous. And, we made different food for me and so forth, and just kept me very, very safe.
I guess that's interesting, and it's something I never thought about too much. Like, if you're going out to a restaurant, there's a little bit more of a professional setting there where they take food allergies very seriously. They take cross-contamination very seriously. So you have people looking out to make sure, if you're the guest with the allergy at the table, that nothing is going to your table or your seat that's contaminated. But when you're going socially to someone's house who might not know about cross-contamination, that could be very dangerous for you.
Well, it's really dangerous because you know what people love to do? They love to please you with food, and they love to make things for you to eat. And there's keywords like "you should be okay," and "should" is a scary word in my
red flag
in my world. So, when people offer to make me food, I generally politely decline because I haven't seen what they put in it. I haven't seen the ingredients. I haven't seen their countertop, their kitchen, their anything. So, when the neighbor lady Carol brings us cookies, to be nice, I don't eat them. And she'll swear they're nut-free and this and that, but it's still dangerous to me. But eating out is of real specific concern because when you're a child with food allergies, you can eat at home and your mom can watch out for you and things like that. But as you grow up, as you're in college, as you're an adult in a workplace, going out for lunch with your colleagues and so forth, food allergies present not only a danger in the food itself, but also social constraints, social awkwardness, and so forth. You don't necessarily always feel like you're fitting in without this long allergy speech to the server about what you're allergic to and be careful back in the kitchen kind of thing before you even eat. And, everybody else is, easily ordering and you're having a one-on-one with the server.
Right. And so how do you navigate that?
Yeah, sometimes they bring the manager. So when you're out to eat with life-threatening food allergies, you're really placing your life in that restaurant's hands. It's really that severe. If you have anaphylaxis and you're out to eat, your life is in their hands, from the server to the manager to the cooks to everybody. It's a line of people who bring that food back to eat at your table, and you're sitting there thinking, I have thought this before, like, I got a 50-50 shot here,
Oh my
and you hope the odds are better, like 99% or even 100%. I've had people come out and swear they've cooked it this way or that way, and I've been perfectly fine. So I think food allergies are becoming more the norm, and people are used to them. But if you back it up to when I first had them, like 30 years ago, people thought it was very strange.
So let's talk about that, I guess, a little bit. Why do you think food allergies are on the rise?
Well, there's a lot of different theories out there, but basically 33 million people have food allergies. It's like 1 in 13 kids and 1 in 10 adults. So adults with food allergies are a really growing population as well. There's so many theories, from hygiene to gut biome to genetics and so forth. I don't know that they've really pinned that down just yet. To me, I feel like I'm always going to be allergic, but I feel particularly better as a human being when I control inflammation. So I really try to eat clean, try not to eat a lot of salt and sugar and, foods that just because they say nut-free doesn't mean I should eat them, like candy bars and things like that.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You want to be as healthy as you can be. But yeah, no, it's a real big problem, and I don't know that they've pinpointed anything just yet. But back to the restaurants, one of the things that I wanted to say is a lot of the food allergy organizations are advocating for SB 68 in California. It's an act to help restaurants label the top 9 allergens on their menu like they do in the UK.
I didn't know they did that there.
So it's starting in California. They want to have this passed in California and have every state go and follow suit. It would probably be really lovely, because sometimes what they do right now is like you'll walk into even a rest area along the roadside, and they'll have a blanket allergy statement. It'll say, caution, some foods in here might have allergies, eat at your own risk type of label. It's like a lawyer statement. And it's like, no, I need to know what.
Yeah.
Which ones have what in them. And you'll also see may contain. And then at restaurants, you'll sit down and there's nothing.
That's a great point.
On the menu. So it would be lovely. It's probably decently complicated to do something like that. And, when I sit down in a restaurant, I know one of the things that I'm most safest with is sometimes chain food, like Jersey Mike's, for example.
Interesting.
Like or maybe a higher-end type restaurant where I know I can talk to the cook and have a steak and a potato and green beans.
Right, and just keep it easy.
And just keep it super easy, yeah. And you have to be careful where they grill it, if they grill it in their own pan, if they're, what they're doing in the kitchen is so important.
So do you ask them about that? Like when you are going and ordering a steak, are you putting it on a grill that, shrimp may have touched, or are you doing it in its own pan?
Yep, no, I ask. Those are questions that I definitely ask, especially at, board meeting events and things like that, where we're out for dinner with the board of directors or higher level social events and things like that. Yeah, I'll definitely have talked to the chef beforehand if I can.
Now, I know not in your case because you have a very severe reaction, but are food allergies ever outgrown?
I hear that a lot. Like sometimes people have outgrown their food allergies, and I'm like, oh, bravo for you. How nice would that be?
The chosen one.
Yeah, I see that more in kids, But generally what I found with me is they've gotten more severe. And generally that's the case with exposure to the allergen. It could potentially be more severe. I've noticed in me way more severe, not letting up at all.
Are there any promising treatments, you think, or research for curing food allergies?
There are. People are excited about Xolair with Genentech, and also people are excited about a peanut patch. FDA's taken a little bit long on that one. That needs some approval and so forth. But there's things like that on the rise. But even most recently, we just lost another child to food allergies, a boy who just graduated college. We lose children, we lose adults and so forth to simple things like eating candy bars that say may contain and you forgot, or it's labeled wrong, or you didn't know, or whatever it is. We're still, the mission here is to keep people alive and thriving and loving life and finding joy and things like that, not having the stress of food allergies. And sadly, we are losing people. There are many, many parents without their kids due to food allergic reactions. People do die from this.
Devastating. I couldn't even imagine.
It's absolutely devastating. Yep.
Now, I do want to talk about the child factor with food allergies, because you do have a children's book called A Lesson for Every Child, Learning About Food Allergies. And you're helping kids navigate life with food allergies and just making it more of a conversation piece, for kids these days. Can you tell me about the book, why you wrote it and the storyline behind it?
Yes, thank you for asking. I wrote that with one of my dear friends. Her name is Sally Huss. She is 85 years old, and I've had the privilege of working on her last 10 children's books with her. And we've been tackling the topics of childhood diabetes and food allergies, and trying to do things like dream big with food allergies. And the one you've got there, A Lesson for Every Child Learning About Food Allergies, is about a little boy who goes into his classroom, and with his teacher's permission, he tells the children of his classroom about his food allergies. And I just thought it was so important for him to have a medical alert on and be able to share with his classmates that he has a medical condition, so that things don't happen like being bullied or being left out, or the awareness factor raises with a book like this. And I just thought it was so powerful. And we were right in putting this book out because it's used widely in classrooms, in allergy offices, and so forth. Families love it. And it just creates this dialogue around keeping somebody safe and alive.
How are you getting it into schools? Because I would love to see something like that in the school district my children are in.
Well, I wish Scholastic would pick this book up. That is my grand wish for this. So Scholastic,
let's manifest that.
Please pick this book up. I wish a major publisher would pick this book up and help distribute it better. This isn't about me or my book sales or anything like that. It's about keeping people alive.
Yeah.
What I have been doing is leveraging my social media from Best Ever You to put out posts. I'll sometimes boost them and so forth, and say, please buy a copy of this and donate it to your library, school, kindergarten, preschool, allergy office.
Well, I can tell you I'm going to do that.
Been doing that. That's basically how the book has found its way around the world, is me begging and pleading for people to buy it and donate it. Because, it's a different book. It's a one-of-a-kind type of book, because you'll see a lot of books like this where the squirrel has the nut allergy or the animal has the nut allergy or whatever to be cute with kids. And this is a child in a book with classmates and so forth.
Makes it more relatable.
I think so. And it's been consistently doing very well on Amazon. There's a hardcover and an ebook and a paperback that Sally and I have done.
Awesome. All right, Elizabeth, we have to go to our first commercial break. Stay tuned. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome back to the show. I'm joined tonight by Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino. She's a health advocate, author, and founder of the Best Ever You Network. And we've been talking about life-threatening food allergies tonight. So, Elizabeth, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is such an important conversation I think we're having tonight about raising awareness around food allergies. Now, I just want to ask you some questions here because there's like a school of people out there that think food allergies are kind of in your head, right? Like, What do you say to those people that think it's not a big deal?
You know, that is one of the biggest misconceptions about food allergies. You even see jokes on Saturday Night Live and so forth, and they think they're not serious. But again, food allergies, a serious food allergy is a life-threatening medical condition that you can die from. It's not like a lifestyle choice where I choose to be gluten-free or anything like that because it makes my tummy hurt or something like that. This is as serious as having just a bite of a food that I'm allergic to or anyone's allergic to and going into anaphylactic shock. Anaphylactic shock can lower your blood pressure, create hives, close your throat, or in my case, create like digestive anaphylaxis, where my blood pressure goes down and it's really scary really fast. So it's very important for people with food allergies to carry epinephrine, carry Benadryl. I carry liquid Benadryl and epinephrine, and have the people around you trained to call 911 because every second counts.
Now, let me ask you. So I know how your allergies are so severe. Does an EpiPen even help you?
Usually it takes about 2 to 4 now. I carry 4 EpiPens with
at
me
one
because
time.
I'm older. I do, definitely. Not that I would ever administer that much to myself, but I've got them if I need them. Having had so many allergic reactions over the years, because I'm almost 56 now, it takes a little bit more epinephrine to get me back on the planet.
To the
for
base,
sure.
yeah.
But yeah, definitely not a joke. Think of food allergies as a deadly, life-threatening condition. True anaphylaxis. If somebody is around you and they said, well, I'm choosing to be gluten-free so I can lose weight or have a healthier lifestyle and so forth, that's not a food allergy.
Right.
That's
just mostly an intolerance, yeah.
Yeah. There are wheat allergies, though, like true anaphylaxis to wheat, where, you can have the same type of reaction as I do by eating wheat. The major allergens are peanuts, tree nuts, milk, eggs, wheat, soy, fish, shellfish, and sesame, with sesame kind of added more recently. And you'll see coconut in there, too, sometimes, but not really. Sometimes people label and sometimes they don't for coconut.
Let me ask, since you have such severe allergies, do you go like once or twice a year to see if you've developed something new, to go for some kind of a test?
I do, actually. I go every few years, though. I don't go once or twice a year. But, yeah, they've kind of leveled out for me. I pretty much know what I'm allergic to. However, I will say this. You can develop an allergy at any time. It makes me want to say to people, at your wellness visit, get a prescription for epinephrine and carry it no matter what, but that's probably ridiculous. But that's how scary allergies are. I mean, I've heard of people out for dinner never having had a shellfish allergy before and have a major reaction.
Oh, that's like the worst nightmare.
They can develop at any point.
I have a friend I go out to dinner with a lot, and she has a ton of allergies. I mean, they're by no means as severe as you, but she definitely has a reaction if she has these things. And Like we were saying, when she has the conversation with the server, we pull the server over right away. We're like, talk to her. She's the one at the table you need to focus on. Don't worry about us. She can't have apples, can't have tree nuts. Like, don't let our friend die at dinner tonight. So it's very stressful, and it changes the dynamic at the dinner table because there's so much concern.
It does very much so, and it also, for that person, you know, you want to live through dinner and you want to be out with your friends. It also creates this social awkwardness where it's like having a spotlight on you.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you're like, I just want to crawl under the table and not have this happen, but I really want to be out with you guys. What can I eat to just fit in? That's really what's happening there. It's like, what can I eat to just fit in? I don't even really need to eat, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'd love to, but I'm kind of scared. And, you know, that's the level of anxiety that goes through somebody with food allergies when they're out for dinner with you, or even in an environment that they're not used to, for example, over at your house and so forth. So, like, even when I go home to visit my mom, just to clear her house of all the things that she bakes with and cooks with and wipe down the counters and the kitchen and, you know, all of it.
Oh, that's very stressful.
Yeah, it's just an odd thing to have. I used to be really, really sad about it. And then when my father had his stroke, when my father had his first stroke all the way back in 2004, I felt like such a victim up to that point. And then I was like, oh, you know what? People have really, really serious things going on. This pales in comparison. And I kind of took that stance of like, you know, there's a lot of other things I can have. I can deal with, you know, not eating a lobster. I'm good.
Yeah.
Or shrimp or whatever. As long as I can avoid them in the context of like out for dinner and so forth, or that cross-contamination factor. But there's I wanted to mention, if I could, there's a huge national patient advocacy organization out there that I'm a spokesperson for. Do you mind if I mention them? Because they are amazing.
Yeah, go ahead. I might have mentioned them in the intro that I didn't have you on the line yet for, but please tell us.
Yeah, they're called FAACT, FAACT. And they are our food allergy and anaphylaxis connection team. And my friend Eleanor Garrow Holding founded the whole thing. And they're grassroots, and they are your community day-to-day support, education, advocacy for individuals and families. And what she does, and what I love so much about her, she just hones in right on the kids. Yes, she cares that we're adults with food allergies and so forth, but she feels like her brand, if she speaks to kids and families, the brand will grow as they age and so forth. So she has huge allergy summits in Oak Brook, Illinois. She has Camp Tag, which is an allergy camp for kids. And she's just amazing. So
well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Give her a shout out. Absolutely. She's doing great things.
Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth, I thank you so much for your time tonight. I wish you continued health, and I'm going to circulate your book around as best I can in the children's book circuit. I'm going to put it in all the schools in Rutherford, New Jersey. I'm going to do my part. I'll leave some at the studio here, and we'll see if we can get Scholastic to get on board and get this all over the country because it's so important. So I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you very much for all you're doing to help us all stay alive and thrive with food allergies. I really appreciate it.
I do what I can. Have a good night, Elizabeth.
All right, take care.
Thanks. Okay, so I now am joined by Valerio Arena, who has the restaurant 21 Grains. It's a modern fast casual concept, and it's surrounded with, naturally gluten-free ingredients. So Valerio, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, guys. Hi.
It's our pleasure. Yes. Valerio was so generous. He sent us last month. He sent all this food to the studio to try out before the show tonight, and the studio was so pleased. So thank you for your generosity in that. It was amazing.
My pleasure.
So tell me about 21 Grains, because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's really anything else in the city that's like a food allergy friendly concept.
Well, there are a few, and we actually discovered it is a very good community. That's what actually brought the idea and sparkles since I got diagnosed. But for us, it was, especially for me, it was trying to solve an issue that was pretty much mine. And I was shocked when this happened. For me, not having bread on the table.
How old were you?
A few years ago. It was like on my early 30s.
Early 30s. Yeah, so you never had a food allergy your whole life, and then all of a sudden the gluten allergy developed.
Celiac is an immune system disease. It's a little bit different than allergies, but it's treated the same way. Fortunately, it's not that bad, but still can cause very serious damages to me, all my bones start to feel ache and then rashes, and it's not good for your guts at all, for your body. You should stop immediately if you have a hint of doubt that you are. Obviously, was feeling very bad, and then to my wife, I discovered it. She forced me to go see somebody, and they told me right away. And then my path, career-wise, and
totally
all changed. Yeah.
So what were you doing? I know you were in the industry. Like, where were you working before you were doing 21 Grains?
I worked with Missy Robbins in Avoce Columbus for a while, and then was recently with Charlie Palmer with his group. That's there that I discovered that. And then I remember it was back in the days, it was by Chloe was started to be very famous. And so when I saw and I combined the two things together, I'm like, whoa. Obviously, I didn't know if I wanted to do a full sit-down, fine dining restaurants. And I said, this is a thing, the good scenario to start. I want to do more. We want to do more for the Celiac community.
Yeah.
As of now, we're very good in distribution. Thank God we're blessed. We're busy.
That's
People
fantastic.
love it. We're listening a lot to our customers. And yes, the demand is there, like variety of allergies, mostly dairy, and stuff like that. So,
are you just gluten-free friendly, or are there any other kind of allergens you eliminate out of 21 Grains?
We are 100% gluten-free, not very friendly. We're straight gluten-free. We're friendly.
More than friendly.
Yes, so that's the reason why, not to be selfish or something, but I need to be able to eat there with no problem.
Yes.
So my staff knows about it, and that's the thing. Not because of me, but as a lot of other people that have this issue. Now, you might be eating at 21 Grains. You wouldn't even realize that it's gluten-free. Probably, I want to say 45% of our customers don't even know. That took a while to build that, and we've been successful so far. But to go back to your questions, actually, yes, we're listening to our customers. A lot of customers asking for a lot of other allergen, calories, and all those factors on the menu. We've been working very hard. The dairy is one of the main ones. It's been a challenge because obviously the dairy is between the gluten, then we don't fry, no oil, no nothing, no fry. We bake and half fry. So yeah, it's challenging, but I think it's rewarding, I want to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, listen, Valerio, let's go to our first commercial break between you and I. And when we get back, we're going to talk all things Valerio Arena and 21 Grains. So stay tuned. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome back. We're continuing the conversation about food allergies, and I'm joined now by Valerio Arena, who is the founder of 21 Grains, a modern fast casual concept built around naturally gluten-free ingredients. Valerio has celiac disease, so he has his own situation, and he's going to talk to us about that a little bit more now. So welcome back to the show, Valerio.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so 21 Grains, what are the most popular dishes you have on the menu there?
The most popular dishes are basically as the wraps. Our wraps are very popular.
Are you making them there?
we assemble it, but the wrap itself, not yet. And we're in the process of getting bigger spaces, just because, as I was mentioning before, I feel like we would like to give more to our client. That is definitely something that we're looking to do our own.
I try to eat gluten-free mostly just because I don't have an allergy. I don't have celiac. Maybe I have an intolerance. I just generally feel better when I eliminate gluten. So I try to eat gluten-free as much as possible. And I always find it difficult, if you just want a wrap or sandwich, where do you go for something good? And now I know it's 21 grains.
Sure. Yes. But to go back to what you say, you're trying to eat gluten-free, right? But try to stay away to a lot of gluten-free products.
Correct. Because it's very processed.
Could be even worse. So there is an amazing naturally gluten-free diet you can follow. And it's very simple. You can go on quinoa, rice, just, simple vegetables.
Well, let me ask, because I know you're very Italian,
Yes,
from Italy.
Sorry. You can hear my accent probably.
I love it. No, it's adorable. So I've heard before, and I don't know if this is true, but that in Italy, their flour and things are different there. It's not as processed as in America, which is no surprise. But I've heard people say, I have a gluten allergy, but I can eat pasta in Italy.
It's totally impossible. So you might feel better, but the protein of the gluten is that what's triggered. The protein stays the same. The biochemical of a product cannot change. Yes, it's way less processed, but that shouldn't. Now, probably the people that talk like that might have an intolerance.
Right, not an actual diagnosis.
Yes, and I'm glad. I love when I hear it. Unfortunately, I cannot try because I will feel bad, but good news or not really good news. My mother was diagnosed right after. It's actually a genetic. Celiac disease is genetic. She was from ages. We were thinking my grandfather was, and he got in a lot of trouble. Obviously, when I was eating at the table back in the days, you couldn't eat without a piece of bread.
Of course. It's a staple, like salt and pepper on the table.
Exactly. So, and when I got diagnosed, my doctor told me it's genetic. Check somebody in your family. I'm like, boom, my mom. So the good news is she became an amazing chef. She's been elaborating different flours, putting together stuff. Also in Italy, they're very much aware of the fact. Now they understand it. It's a thing.
Yeah.
They are amazing.
So do they have gluten-free options?
They have amazing gluten-free option. They're studying the product and they're making amazing product. That's why we're collaborating with some chefs in there, some bakers. We're in constant communication on trying to find new combination of flours and baking products. Yes, for sure.
You have kids?
I do.
Do they have
We checked last week again. They don't.
Thank gosh.
Yeah. Well, they know now. They're still kids, but they understand it.
Oh, that must have been very difficult for you when you were first diagnosed to eliminate.
Well, first it was great because I finally understood what was wrong with me, and then was tough. I went through some research, but then I got the sparkle list of 21 grains. So
you should make pasta there.
We will eventually. That as of now, operationally, it's not going to be very
you don't have enough
functional.
space. All right, but you have the 3 locations, right? You're downtown on Pearl Street in the financial district. You're in Midtown on, is it 52nd Street?
Yes.
And you're out in Brooklyn.
Yes, correct.
In the DeKalb Food Hall.
Yeah.
So where do you think you're going to open up next?
Midtown is always in our heart.
Bustling.
Midtown. We're looking NYU areas right now.
Oh, that's smart.
Upper West Side as well.
Are you going to expand outside of New York?
I would love to be more in the suburbs, yes. Definitely.
I just feel like also that kind of clean eating is good in areas where there's a lot of sunshine and warm weather, right? Like the Californias, Floridas, where people are scantily clad a little bit and they're really concerned about what they're putting in their body.
True. Florida is actually something that we've been looking into as well.
That'll be
so
great.
I think would be a natural next step after New York. But there is so much to do here. It's
it's the best city in the world.
Yes.
So the possibilities are endless,
True.
I think. All right, so when you're not in 21 grains, right, and you don't have access to all your gluten-free food that you know is safe, what are some, I guess, allergy friendly. I know you don't have an allergy, like you have celiac, but like, what are some friendly snacks or recipes? Like if you're on the go or you're at home, like things that are easy to eat.
It's very fun. So good question. So I don't need anything that has to be. I just need grilled fish or meat and.
Yeah, but what if you're on a car ride or something?
That stuff.
You just have to eat a proper meal before you get on the road.
That stuff, and that's why I'm opening a lot of restaurants all over the place, so I can always open some of them.
That's
but
smart.
my wife is very good at it. She helped me. We've been traveling a lot actually, and we always have issue. I'm very attentive.
Yeah, or like on a long airplane ride.
I eat a lot of fruit. I request meals. The airplane now, they're aware of it as well. Fruit, a lot of fruits or snacks or nuts.
Do you carry an EpiPen?
No, you don't need to.
You don't. Oh, so you don't need that for gluten?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, thank God.
I just had Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino on the show earlier tonight, and she, she has a different situation, different allergies, very severe. So none of this sounds fun to me. Now, do you keep your house gluten-free? Like even though no one else in your family?
I try to don't let my kids get into that because it's not fair, and I think their body needs all sorts of nutrients. But we have two different cabinets where I keep my stuff. But as I say, I really stay away from anything that,
But you know what? I have a friend whose daughter has celiac disease. I mean, she has it pretty severe. It affects her so severely. She gets blood work all the time to check her percentages to see where it's at. And they have every single thing separate for her in that house, down to her own air fryer, her own toaster oven. Like she can have zero cross-contamination. That's a stressful job as a parent.
Yes. So
and it's stressful for the
severe.
child to know that they're, quote unquote, a little different.
Yeah. So for us, we're trying to stay a little bit more relaxed about it because I'm the chef in the house.
That's right.
So I'm taking care of that basically. And everybody in the family. Then, as I told you, my mom is an excellent gluten-free cook. So
is she helping you curate some new recipes for 21 Grains?
She introduced me to a very good bakers down where we live, yes.
Tell me.
Sure. They making some exceptional bread. I brought in some bread in here. It's just still very difficult to implement that part into our menu right now. We're very fast-paced. We got something that is working very well. We just have to expand a little bit more and then understand how to implement that part. We're obviously looking into going to the CPG market as well very soon.
Well, that's interesting. I know you have some sweet treats and things you sent over. So it's not just the savory side of the gluten-free options. You had like some
the
bars and things.
So I'm collaborating with a lot of previous people I work with. And one of my previous pastry chef is making those delicious Rice Krispie treat with the white chocolate ganache and peanut. I know that's a risk, but they're sealed. They're like everybody's written as peanut, but those are delicious. So I'm definitely leveraging as of now all the connection I've made through my career and also what Italy can bring us. Not only Italy, like internationally, what other people have. And I think we're getting to good results.
When you were working in restaurants, when you were operating restaurants, did you have a lot of guests that came in with food allergies?
Yes, a lot. And
so as a restaurant operator, how did you train the staff and communicate with the kitchen to accommodate those kinds of requests?
Well, here's the thing. As a restaurant operator back in the days, as of now, there is no such a thing. You guys are 100% gluten-free. Everybody knows. I even bought bells for the team. Every time somebody asks, we just ring a bell. Yes, we are 100% gluten-free. It's just like a mantra for the business. But back in the days, was very obviously kitchen has to be aware of it right away. It depends how severe it is. Glove change, separate station, separate products.
Oh, cloth change, you said.
Gloves.
Oh, gloves. I was like, that's one I've never heard of.
No. Yeah. So then there is a fact that if somebody is highly allergic, mostly to nuts, we have to say, especially in our place, we could have cross-contamination. That's,
and explain what cross-contamination is if there's someone listening who doesn't understand that kind of terminology that's used.
Cross-contamination is basically if you using the determined type of food that trigger the allergy, and it touches a surface, and then the other food touches the same surface, or you use the same gloves, there is a cross-contamination. Or you cook certain ingredient in the same utensils, that's cross-contamination. Cannot be touched. Sometimes even cooked in the same place because there is airborne illness too. So.
Oh, you know what? We didn't really talk about that part, the airborne part of it. That's important. Does that relate so much to gluten? I know with peanuts and the nuts, airborne allergens can cause a reaction.
No, gluten, the only things like when I love pizza, and there are a few places that do an amazing gluten-free pizza here, and most of the time they have a separate oven, but it's not the same. So sometimes that's the only things I cheat on. They use the same oven, which is still...
And then you pay the consequences later?
A little bit, yeah. A few days later, it's funny. Like, it's not right away. I just feel my body pain and rashes, but I'm avoiding it because
there's no good.
Yeah,
the 30 seconds of pleasure you get,
it's not worth it.
The juice isn't worth the squeeze.
It's not worth it.
All right, so that's Valerio Arena of 21 Grains. Thank you so much for coming in the studio tonight. I'm obsessed with your concept. Everyone here at AM 970 loves it. So thank you for coming in. You're the best.
Thank you guys for having me. Thanks.
All right. Thank you for listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on AM 970 The Answer. This was certainly an informative show tonight. And a special thank you to my guests for helping spread awareness about something that hits home to both of them. Check out more about Elizabeth on her website at elizabethguarino.com. There you can see all of the many books she has written and find links to her podcast titled The Best Ever You Show. And if you're in New York City, be sure to check out Valerio's restaurant, 21 Grains, with 3 convenient locations. He's in Midtown on West 52nd, he's in Financial District on Pearl Street, and in Brooklyn at DeKalb Food Hall. Tune in next week. We're talking about regenerative agriculture. I have Melissa Sumner of Sumner Farms out in Honesdale, Pennsylvania, coming on the show. She's going to share with us how this differs from conventional farming and why it is so important to the earth and our food supply to support this approach of farming. That's the show for tonight. Thanks for listening and have a great night.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.